Hey everyone, Egman here with a first Patreon video. The people at PPG were nice enough to give me this chance to make a video for y'all. So yeah, I wanted to make one, and I couldn't think of a better topic right now than kind of starting to counter the meta that's evolving now that Series 8 is out. And the deck that I really chose to kind of counter first is the Super Baby. I think a lot of people think this is a really powerful deck, and I totally agree. It got first and second at the first event that was this past weekend, but I think it's very counterable, and kind of reminds me of like when Broly BR, when that first came out, people thought it was the most powerful deck, and mostly in my mind, that's because people aren't specifically countering against this kind of play style. I think there's a lot of counters that exist, but normally how it works for day one metas, people, the winners usually try to lean more aggro based, and strictly because you don't know what to counter, right? You don't know what people's win conditions are, their plays are 100% of the time, and so it's hard to counter aggressively and efficiently when you don't know what your opponent is playing. But once it gets more defined, then you can get these kind of anti-meta decks, control decks, and I think that's really what I specialize in. So let's talk about the kind of like the baby SS4 chain that's just been popping up. Including like the extension into like the secret rare Goku GT. So here's pretty much the idea, and also something to keep in mind is that this kind of combo isn't necessarily restricted to any leader too. Like none of this really matters. I don't think anything here is leader dependent. It's all just kind of going through the motion. I guess SS4, you can't do it with wish leaders. You have to make sure you awaken. But other than that, this is all any leader can do this. So the idea is that on turn 3, you have 2 yellow energy and 1 red energy. You play this for you combo this out you rival this out during a combo phase. This could also be rivaled out on your opponent's turn 2 if they attack you. You can do this, and then from here you can go into the 5-drop. Which just is a free EX Evolve. You get to draw a card, and also you get something minus 5k, which actually can be pretty powerful if your opponent has like a bunch of free blockers out. So go into there, and then with your last 2 energy, your yellow and your red, you go into the 7-drop baby. This is a big EX Evolve. It has double strike. It also says offering too, which either puts pressure on your opponent to crit some life, or you get to draw 2. Also, when you do this, it has this active main, which is really broken in my mind. Just the fact that it's so easy to get out, and also it's unrestricted. You just choose 1 card for your life, add it to your hand, then you choose one of your opponent's leader cards, gets minus 5k power for duration of the turn. So the idea with this is that you just keep activating this ability because it's not once per turn, and then you get down to 2 life, and then whatever. And it doesn't have to be this leader, because this leader is specifically for 2 life, but it can be any leader. And once again, that is a awaken leader. And then after you do that, you awaken, and when you do, you probably would swing with this if you feel confident that this wouldn't be blown up, but then you swing with it, and then you awaken, and you get both your Pan and your Super Saiyan 4, which you have to get this 30k out, but then you have your Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, a Heartful Plea, and then once this is out, you can do a triple strike, has another offering, and then you can also restand it once with Pan. Additionally, what you can continue going into, this is a little bit more extra, but you can go into the red 6-drop Goku GT for 1 red, and then you also place 1 card for your drop area, and then you can just start, even with just a 5-drop, you can place these Pans for free, which is really nice, especially if their leader is like at negative 10 or 15k because of your 7-drop baby. These are really like free swings, free damage there, and then also the 6-drop can go into the on top of the 8-drop, and then you can just keep swinging and dealing damage that way. So that's kind of like the full kind of spectrum of cards, like the line of it, and so that's where it's really powerful. And the big burst, I'd say, so I think there are a couple ways to counter this, and that's kind of what you got to do. You got to realize what your opponent's lines are, what they would want to do next, and then you can kind of see where there's ways to interact with it. So first, like the obvious part is part here is if they can't play their first card, they can't do their combo, right? If they don't have the 4-drop out, so there's we can do some counters there. Additionally, another, I'd say like the most critical part of this is that with this 7-drop, they're going to go down to 2 life, right? Which means once they do that, they've pretty much committed, hey, either one of us is going to win after this turn, by the end of this turn, right? Because I only have like 2 life left, and so I'm just going to go as deep as I can with this, And then if you're able to just like stop them at this point, even like if you're making it a lot harder for them to win, that's probably like in my opinion one of the better ways to do it, just because that you force them to commit to what you're doing. So there's that, and then after that, you just have the 5-drop, 6-drop, and then 8-drop. It's going to be like the 8-drop's pretty hard to get rid of, and so I'd say like the idea there is that you don't you don't let the 5-drop come out, but yeah. Anyways, I've got, no joke, 40 cards in this little stack. You don't. It only looks like one, but where they're going to just be a range of ways to interact with this combo and get around kind of their win conditions. Because the kind of key points to think about this is, one, they they make your leader very unpowerful, right? They give it like minus 10, 15, 20k sometimes. So there's that. The idea is that there's a lot of swings, and the also idea is that most, like, essentially you only have like one of these cards out at one time, because you have the 4-drop, which turns into the 5-drop, which turns into the 7-drop, which turns into the 5-drop again, which turns into a 6-drop, which turns into the 8-drop, right? So you're stopping a lot of swings, but also it's very vulnerable that there's only one card out at the time, right? And the other thing is that none of these cards besides the 4-drop have barrier, which I think is another important thing to take notice, is that all these cards are vulnerable in some way. And so you can get rid of that. All right, let's go through the cards. So first obvious one is Dr. Lychee and Hatchiak. With their auto, when a battle card attacks, the player who can attack with tokens or battle cards with energy cost 7 or less other than this card. Or battle cards with energy cost of 7 or less other than the card that attacked for the duration of the turn. So this is really good for just saying, hey, you can't attack anymore with your cards. This can get around if they get all the way to the 8-drop, but that's a lot of cards. And I think, like, consistency wise, the first 5 cards are pretty consistent, but after that, even like if you pretty much have to say, hey, you better have the secret rare or you probably lose. Another good card is this Topo. It looks like there's 2 cards there, but okay, so the Topo. So the idea with this one is that you can do this on their first attack, and then every time they swing, they have to drop 2 cards from their hand, which means that they have to really commit, and it makes it really hard for them to continue going for their win condition. And the fact that the combo starts with you having to attack because you have to get this guy out with a rival, you can just do this on their first leader swing, and then your opponent has to make a decision like, okay, do I go off this turn, or do I wait another turn, give my opponent a little bit more resources, give them 1 more energy, and it makes your opponent make a choice. And if you ever give your opponent a choice, that means that they have a choice to make a mistake. And so that's really like something to think about as well. Even if this doesn't deter them as much as it can, giving your opponent like the opportunity to make a mistake, I think, is really valuable. Also, like, just Cold Bloodlust, Frost Deadly Poison, and a little bit of Revenge, Final Flash? Yeah. So these 2 are just fantastic. Cold Bloodlust is only at 1, and it's restricted to a certain leader. And Frost Deadly Poison is 3 energy, which can be pretty tough. But if they just do all this shenanigans on the 7-drop, and then they go into the 5-drop and you just Cold Bloodlust it, then they don't get the offering. They don't have a triple strike. And they do have a big 30k beat stick, but other than that, it just kind of neuters them in the long term, and pretty much makes them say, hey, you better go into this other chain if you have it. And just, I think this is a really good card. Nothing has Deflect either, so you can even just hold off on Cold Bloodlust on their EX Evolve, Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, and then they're just done. So Cold Bloodlust can just neuter any part of this. You have to make sure you're doing it at the right time. I would assume that the right time is after they take hold of their life with the 7-drop, but that would need some testing there. Revenge Final Flash is a weird card. This deck won't be running a lot of extra cards, so there's a chance that this could work, but it's not worth it in my mind to use 2 energy to maybe hit what they got. But this could be a chance if you're feeling really ballsy, and if the meta evolves where they're not running like any negates or anything like that, then this could be like a shoe-in for it. Let's see, we've got Time Magic. We also have Flying Nimbus. These 2 are fantastic, but they're restricted to, like, Time Magic, obviously restricted to a yellow leader. And Flying Nimbus is great, but once again, you have to be running yellow, so it's not very generic in that sense. But being able to take 1 more swing with battle cards is fantastic. Even if they have dual attack, or if they keep restanding, it's only 1 more attack. It doesn't say they can only attack with one more battle card. It's only one more attack with battle cards, so that's really valuable there. And the big thing about this too is you have to time this right. If you time it on like their swing to, make the 4-drop out, then they can just wait and go off again next turn. Sure, it buys you a turn, but then you also have to neg one with dropping with Flying Nimbus. But if you make it do it, if you do it later in the chain, after they take their life, then it can be powerful there. All right, next cards we've got. Pretty much, androids, this should be over here too. Last one, androids 21 scheme. This isn't as much as Hatchiyak, but it kind of has the same idea. It has the auto, when you or your opponent plays a non-token black card, it can't attack for duration of the turn. So that just means that for something that they summon, you can make it so they can't attack. It's not super valuable in this deck because they just keep summoning things, but and I believe the ruling is it's just the first thing they summon, so they're just going to play this first and then not swing with it. So it's not super valuable, but if like they do this turn 2, then they can't swing with the 5-drop. But I mean, even still, 7-drop goes through it. I don't know. It's not a fantastic option, but this is a stable card in an archetype that's doing pretty well. So there's that. Next up, the kind of like counterplay cards. We're just gonna move these down here. Yeah, or up there. I gotta manipulate these. Okay. So these guys are all pretty good at just stopping the 4-drop itself, and so if they do this thing, they try to arrival at the 4-drop, then you can just say, oh, denial of hope, boom, it's dead, and then they're pretty much done for the turn, right? It's kind of like You're Wide Open, I think, is a worse choice because they can still something you can do with this is that if they are low enough, they can just do the combo with the 5-drop, because this is a 25k. You can EX Evolve, go into there, and then just do the go on top of here because it just needs a 25k. Sure, you have to make sure you're awakened, but this deck can take 3 life by itself. Even if you're not attacking, it just says active main once per turn, choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. So like if any damage, they can get to 4 pretty easily, and so You're Wide Open. If you wide open it, and then you can just say, okay, cool, and then I'll say, without even comboing anything else, I'll say I'll activate Arrival again, play 1 more yellow, get this 4-drop out again, go into the 5-drop, and then I can go into the SS4 5-drop, and even just skip this part here and just go into the EX chain, or the GT chain. So You're Wide Open, you have to be careful about that one, but Denial of Hope gets rid of it. Preemptive Strike gets rid of it. And Unexpected Turn. This one's a little bit more janky, but since a lot of them are, especially if they're running the Baby Vegeta one, if they're running the 1-drops Mew and Baby, they're gonna fill up their board with 1-drops, and so Unexpected Turn could be actually unexpected and get rid of like a 5-drop or something they weren't expecting it to get rid of if they have enough cards on the field. So there's that. Also, we've got these counter plays as well. Champa's not as important just because there's flexibility and untapping stuff and all that, but it's an option there. And then Ultra Instinct Son Goku is also an option, but getting to 4 energy against this deck is pretty hard, so it might be kind of impossible to do that, but just another option there. Okay, it kicked me out. I don't know why it did, but okay. One more card to talk about, and before we go into the battle ones, is that we also have Beerus Ball. This one's restricted to red leaders, and it's also kind of hard to do since you have to be at 4 or less life to activate it. But it's really good because it gets rid of something with 15k power or less, and so that could mean the 4-drop Baby, or it could also mean like the Pan, and you can play it for free by taking a life. So taking rid of this for free means that they don't have another triple strike, which is fantastic, and can really just screw them up there. Just a great card. You just have to be at really low life already, which can be kind of hard, but if they do, if they're kind of aggressive, they swing at the 7-drop, get you down to 4 life, and then they awaken and go into the Pan, then you can just do the Beerus Ball. All right, going into the active battle cards, there were like a bunch of these released, and I think like they help out a bunch of the archetypes going on, and so most of these cost, like the idea for a lot of these is that, okay, for 2 energy during the battle step, you can get rid of either get rid of the card or get rid of the triple strike and make it less intimidating, and then you can kind of survive through there. So we've got Son Goku and Son Gohan. It's a rival for blue-green, and then when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less, and place it in its owner's energy cost in rest mode, and then your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and place it in the drop area. So you can If they're swinging with the 5-drop Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, you can just play this, and then boom, it's dead. Same thing with this Beerus. The idea is when you play this, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 30k power or less and KO it, or choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards or battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and that card can't be switched to active mode until the start of your opponent's until the start of your next main phase. So, but this can just get rid of the 5-drop, and then it's done. So there's that. These next kind of cards are actually here. Let me go with this one. So we've got combination attack, and this is pretty much the same thing of where it's an extra card, but for 2 during active battle, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and you cost of 5 or less, return it to the owner's hand, then choose up to one of your red or blue energy, switch active mode. So this is nice that it's less flexibility and the fact that it's an extra card, but you don't have to combo for it, and then also it's 2 energy, which and then goes down to 1 energy. So I think this would actually be like one of the better cards to get rid of, the 5-drop. But very powerful there, and it's active battle too, so they potentially have comboed or anything, and then you can just go boop, okay, done. So great card there. Some other cards to consider are these, where all of these get rid of a skill. So this could mean triple attack, or pretty much triple attack, or like dual strike or something, double attack or anything like that. So we've got like Beerus. You can just combo this for 2 energy, and then you just say, oh, I get rid of triple strike, and then your opponent has to really ramp up the amount of damage they're doing. Similar with the Son Goku and Vegeta Saiyan Bonds. When you play this, draw 1 card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, negate skills for duration of the turn. So it's all the skills, which is nice. And then Krillin Android 18. This is nice, where you only have to play 1 energy to do this. And when your opponent plays this, and when you play this card, choose 1. Your opponent choose 1 card in their hand and place it in their drop area, or choose a keyword skill on one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, negate it for duration of the turn. So you can just say, okay, this one with the 5-drop is still in rest mode. I'm going to get rid of triple strike. There we go. And then after that, we've got kind of, I guess this is kind of in purgatory where to classify it, but this is just like blocker revenge, and then it's a counterplay. You have to be careful when you play this, because if you do on their first attack, then they can just play the 5-drop and blow this up. But this can be really good if they're, once again, all of this is dependent on a single line of cards that doesn't have any inherent protection. And so being able to just say, hey, here's a revenge blocker, I can just blow up whatever part of your chain that exists, and then I win. So there's that. We also just have like some on the field pressures to make it an efficient to your opponent, kind of like how Topo is. With Topo being able to make them discard cards. But we've got Piccolo and Piccolo. I put both these here because you want to be able to, if you want to get this out in turn 3, you play, Cunning Strategist here. You're able to get out this 4-drop Piccolo, and then this has the, active battle once per turn. Bond 2, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, with any cost of 5 or less and KO it, and if you did, draw 1 card. So this pretty much says, hey, I hope you don't enter your battle phase with this 5-drop on the field, because I can just blow it up and plus from it. So this is like really good deterrent. You have to go first for this to hit the field and everything, but it makes your opponent not want to do this, their big chain, because they know it's just going to be blown up. So that's really good there. These next couple cards are kind of more restricted. These are all like green cards too, but if this card's on the field, boom, like they have to get around this card, because at any time if they try to go in, you can just blow up their 1 card in their chain, and that's dead. So and then also I thought this card was neat. One, it's a rival, so you can play it, and then you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and then get minus 15k. So this can also just blow up the 4-drop, which is nice. But also, when your opponent combos, you may choose 1 card in your opponent's drop area and place it in the owner's drop area, and if you do, negate the skill duration of the turn. So if they are comboing with cards for a rival to get out this 4-drop, you can just say, aha, I'll use this to get rid of the cards in your drop, in your combo area. And if you're lucky, or if they didn't play it right, or if you guess correctly, then they'll have to either commit more cards to go into this, or they just won't be able to rival this properly, and then you win. So that's nice, and just good card there. And then lastly, we're kind of going into just really disruption in the either counterattacks, but also being able to blow up your opponent with like blockers, right? I think blockers are a really important thing, and there's some extra ones we can talk about. So we've got Mafuba, and here's Mafuba. Both these can just counterattack. They swing in with 5-drop or 7-drop, and you can say, oh, I'm a Fuba, and they're like, okay, cool. Well, I just don't have any line of play left anymore, so you win. So that feels nice. With also Heroes Mafuba as well. And just the fact that like these cards exist, your opponent has to be like, okay, they have 2 energy open, 1's blue. If I take all the cards out of my life with my 7-drop, and then they are able to use Mafuba, then I just strictly lose. So that's really nice. And then Ultimate Blow is a great card. It's a little bit more reactive because you choose up to one of your opponents, or choose up to one of your battle cards that gets plus 10k power and revenge for the duration of the turn. And so when you do this, you're able to give something revenge, which is great for blockers and deadly defenders and all that. So here's a bunch of blockers and deadly defenders to talk about this. Oh, did I not? I only have this one. I'll be right back. All right, so here's a couple of blockers to consider. There's like tons of blockers and more than these, but here's just some ideas to float with them. Just in general, being able to have blockers is nice already, but something that's kind of newer to this too is that there are some blockers that you can kind of like surprise your opponent with. So, but let's kind of starting basic. We can just look at just this Balma leader. This can be like a really good leader for just being defensive against this, because all your red and yellow Saiyan and Earthling cards in your battle area gain blocker, which is fantastic. So being able to have all the cards that you play be blocker and just be disruptive with that is really nice. We also have cards like this Son Goku here, and yeah, pretty much like this Son Goku. This one's great because you're able to it has blocker barriers, so they can't do anything with it. You have to be really careful. Like the biggest like unintentional pain about this is that this baby, Super Baby 1, since it gives something minus 5k, you can't play like free blockers aren't as effective because they just get blown up, right? If you have to play at least 2, and I bet there are like some other ways to disrupt them too, but having a free block with at least 15k or 10k is a great thing to have. Some other like more unique ways. So we also have like Deadly Defender Android 18 or any of the Deadly Defenders. You have to be going first to get these off, but being able to have a 3-drop Deadly Defender, and since your opponent has to swing over it, and the only negging they're doing is on your leader card, and so they don't have an actual way to neg your battle cards and all that. I don't know, these probably aren't the best here, but it's just like another option here. Another idea is that we've got like the 4-drop Trunks out adventuring. This can be out pretty easily. You just have to EX evolve on a red Trunks Youth at an energy cost of 2. It's block for revenge, and they have to really commit something to get rid of this. So that's a cool card just to have out there for free. Some other cards, and so after that, most of these are just cards that are blockers that you can get out without to kind of surprise your opponent and all that. So first one, pretty easy, is the Super Saiyan 3 Tag Team Son Gohan. When a black battle card is removed from your battle area by a skill, activate the skill replace card from your hand. So if you have like a 1-drop 5k battle card, black battle card, and they use their baby and like, aha, I'll blow up your 1-drop, then boom, you can play the 4-drop for free, and you got yourself a free blocker. So that could be nice. We've got this Potent Technique Vegeta. So it's blocker auto. If there's a blue-yellow multicolor card in your energy at the end of a battle in which you combo with this card from your hand, play it. So this is really nice. And it doesn't say on your turn. It just says when you combo with this. So it's just like a 1-drop blocker you can plop for free. You do have to have a blue-yellow multicolor in your energy, but that's it's not too bad. So you can kind of surprise your opponent with that. Next up, we've got Pan Great Ape Whisperer. This obviously this is on the other side too, right? But being able to auto if your life is at 2 or less, and when your leader card activates Awaken, you can play this card from your hand. So you can just play this. Like if you awaken on your opponent's turn, you can still just awaken and do this. Sure, you have to be at 2 energy or 2 life though, which can be a little bit dangerous. A lot of this stuff has double and triple attack, but if you awaken, play Pan, and then if they gave something double strike, you can remove it with any like the extra cards. Then you're kind of good to go there. But yeah, that's just another option there. We've got Speedy Entrance Chile. This one might be a bit cheesier, but when your opponent's battle card is KO'd, activate the skill. If your leader card is green, you may play this card from your hand. So you can kind of like KO something in the battle area, battle randomly, like even like with revenge or anything like that, and then you can just play this for free, and then it's just another blocker to have out there. We have Bojack. So this is an arrival card that has blocker. So that's really unique. And then also, when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, switch to rest mode, then place the top card of your deck, or opponent's deck into their drop area. So this can be great for if they like swing at their leader while like their 5-drop is untapped. Then you can just say like some people I see do like once this is in rest mode, they just immediately use the Pan's effect to put it back in active mode, and then like they swing with leader or something. Then you just say, oh, I play Bojack, and it puts it in rest, and they also have a blocker out, so that can be really devastating there. And then also we have this like there's the 5-drop one, but that obviously can get destroyed by the super baby. But this gigantic bomber, Dr. Euro or Relo, it's a blocker and also has revive, and that's something to keep in mind. These revive cards can be really good. And when you play this card, this has an auto effect too. But just the fact that this is a 2 blockers in one, just by pitching a red or a green and blue or a green blue card. So there's that. And I think I've talked way too much about these cards. I hope this gives like this is like a super in-depth overview of just kind of ways to get around this. I think this is a really exploitable chain, and I expect people to start countering this as soon as next event. But I hope this video helped you think of one, ways to counter it, but also 2, ways to counter it. Obviously, if you know what your opponent's going to do to disrupt you, you can disrupt them in other ways. And so that it's just like this big counter war. But hopefully this is shown that this is in my mind beatable. I think the biggest thing the biggest thing about anti-meta decks is that sure you can you can most decks are counterable, right? But the bigger picture is that you have to be able to counter this deck while still being able to win against other decks enough to get in the top cut, right? So this is one of these situations where at least I know that this deck is counterable, and now it's up to, can you make a deck that also can survive in the rest of the format? So I hope this gave you guys some knowledge and some inspiration, and yeah, so thank you once again to PPG for letting me have this opportunity. If you liked this video, let them know, make the comments, and I might be back for another one. And if you want to see all my regular content, it can be found on YouTube under the Egman channel. All the content is free and is just as high quality as this one, I'll say. So thank you guys so much for watching, and maybe I'll catch you all next time.